Dr. Rajan Prasad.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Pleased to take a call on part 2 of the bill and really start from the position where the Honourable Trevor Mallard was, because these provisions actually take out the most vulnerable. And what Jacinda Ardern's SOP does is puts them back in, because it really says that those receiving a benefit, these are the most vulnerable, and these are the most in poverty, and that group should be in there. And by the process that Trevor Mallard has just identified, they have been excluded. And this is a good SOP, and I think if the government was sincere about addressing the most vulnerable, then it would agree to this particular SOP, because those on benefit at this time require this assistance. I haven't heard an argument from the Minister. Maybe he'd like to take a call to explain to us as to why those receiving a benefit are excluded. And if that was put in, I think it would satisfy this side of the House. And then I want to speak also to the other SOP that Jacinda Ardern has proposed, and this is to increase the parental tax credit to $3,120 from $2,200, because that actually does begin to put it within striking distance of the Best Start program. And this actually does relate to the Best Start program that Labor did propose, because it's quite interesting. When Labor proposed Best Start and tried to address this, there were howls from government benches that this was the baby bonus, this was a bribe, and they pilloried it. They actually didn't have anything positive to say about it. I believe, Mr. Chairman, this was when the government started to think about, oops, I think we made a mistake. So when Sue Moroney's bill was before Select Committee, and when those very large number of submitters came forward to say, look, these are the kinds of things you need to think about, and when they saw support for these kinds of provisions, that the SOP is talking about, that's when the government started to think about paid parental leave and the changes it's making here. Prior to that, they had no idea. So the Minister, early when he took the only call he's taken so far, was saying that this is a very careful, thought-out series of policies. That's unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. This government has been driven, absolutely been driven to consider paid parental leave and the tax credits that we're talking about in part 2 of this particular bill, because they did not think about it before and they had no idea, but they realised that there is a demand out from the public. And it's Sue Moroney's bill that actually has forced the government to look through this. And what it's doing now, it's really not doing the job well enough. In the first part, it only increases it by 2 weeks next year and 2 weeks the year after. It's a pittance. 60,000 people this year, 60,000 children next year miss out. So where is the sincerity of this minister and this government in trying to address this problem properly? Because they are not sincere about that. This is simply something that they've been forced to do, something they've put in the budget, and now trying under urgency to pass this through. And it's got lots of faults. Now, this side of the House supports families. This side of the House supports mothers, particularly at the time when children arrive. This is why the 26-week was so important. It just gets towards a minimum standard. The reports are legendary. The Families Commission report, about 13 months, was a very well thought out piece of work. It brought every piece of knowledge that was available around the world and in this particular area, and all of the systems available, thought it through, put in place a 7-year program where New Zealand could have transitioned very, very systematically and programmatically to have a decent paid parental leave system to give our children the best start possible. But what this particular bill has done and what Part 2 is doing here is just really only playing at the edges of it. And this questions the sincerity of this government. This questions the extent to which they really are interested in paid parental leave. All of the quotes that was read out by earlier speakers around what national cabinet ministers and national members said about paid parental leave, I think Honourable Member said it was a travesty. I think this is where their real heart is. That for them, this is the truth. Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman.
Maggie Barry.
I move that the question be now put.
Denise Roche.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I rise to take a short